It's 7 p.m. Wednesday, June 5th, here in Seoul.
Coming up on News Center tonight. More bodies have been recovered since the night of the tourist boat collision on the Danube, increasing the official death toll to 12, while 14 still remain unaccounted for.
Seoul's Unification Ministry officially decides to send $8 million to UN agencies to help North Korea. The money is expected to be sent as early as next week.
The Finance Ministry proposes revising taxes on beer and rice wine. It says it'll help boost the local craft beer industry and ultimately lower prices for consumers.
And in Major League Baseball, LA Dodgers pitcher Yoo Hyun-jin continues his winning streak, while Texas Rangers' Choo Shin-soo hits his 200th home run, the first for an Asian player in the MLB. News Center begins now.
Good evening and welcome to Arirang News Center. Live from Seoul, I'm Han Daeun.
And I'm Noah Dam. Thank you as always for joining us this evening. Now let's begin with the recovery operations in Budapest. Another body has been found near the tourist boat that sank in the Danube last week.
We turn to our Park Hee-jun for the latest. Hee-jun, what do you have for us?
So another body presumed to be a South Korean man was found on Wednesday morning local time. It was recovered by a Hungarian diver near one of the boat's windows at around 9:21 a.m. It was moved by police to a hospital and is being identified. So far, 12 South Koreans have been confirmed dead, while 14 are still missing. If the newly found body is also Korean, the death toll will be 13 and the number of missing 13. A total of 5 bodies have been recovered since the joint operation began Monday, all identified as South Koreans. Many of the bodies are still missing and they're believed to be still inside the wreck. Divers have been unable to search inside due to high floodwaters and strong currents. But we may get more news on the way as operations continue.
Right, we hear that the search and recovery operations will shift focus to salvaging the ill-fated boat. Tell us more about their plan from here.
Right, well, beginning Wednesday, rescue teams will focus more on salvaging the boats. They've wrapped up their underwater search for the bodies. Today's plan will involve divers going down and wrapping chains and ropes around the boat so it can be raised. A crane is expected to arrive at the site Thursday. Take a listen.
We will go ahead with the binding process ahead of salvaging the boat and expand our helicopter searches. When the binding's done, the crane Clark Adam that departed 6:40 a.m. local time will stand by in the area. After the crane passes all the way through Margaret Bridge, we will get ready to lift the ship tomorrow, depending on how the preparations proceed.
The Clark Adam is the biggest crane in Eastern Europe. It could arrive a little later than scheduled, depending on the changing water levels. Then the actual salvaging process could start on Friday or Saturday. Now, South Korean and Hungarian rescue teams are planning the process very carefully to make sure that bodies inside the boat are not lost during the salvaging process. The front part of the boat is for storage, so people don't get inside that area. Rather, most of the bodies are presumed to be inside the stern. But searchers say that that part of the ship has been damaged, especially the entrance in the very middle. They plan to block the entrance with nets to make sure the victims' bodies don't slip out while the boat is being lifted. They'll also break some of the windows, which will help drain the water out and reduce the pressure inside the boat. Now, that's just one side of the boat. The other side can't be reached right now because of the rapid water flow, and rubber boats will be placed behind the boat to catch any remains that are swept away by the fast currents. That's all from me at this hour, but I'll keep bringing in the updates.
Our Park Hee-jun for us, thank you. South Korea, after years of twists and turns, will officially launch the process to donate $8 million in humanitarian aid to North Korea through the WFP and UNICEF. This marks the first time a government donation is provided to the North through international bodies since 2015. Our Oh Jung-hee at the Unification Ministry with more.
South Korea has officially decided to donate $8 million to UN agencies for humanitarian assistance to North Korea. On Wednesday, Seoul's Unification Ministry announced that its panel for promoting inter-Korean exchanges and cooperation approved the plan. $4.5 million will go to the World Food Program, which seeks to improve the nutrition of infants, pregnant women, and women who are breastfeeding in North Korea. The rest, $3.5 million, will go to UNICEF to provide medical and nutritional support for mothers and children.
Once we decide to spend money on WFP and UNICEF projects on nutritional support and maternal and child health, then we notify the agencies of our decision, and it takes about 3 to 4 working days to deliver that fund.
It marks the second time the panel has approved the delivery of aid to the North. In 2017, Seoul approved the donation of $8 million to the WFP and UNICEF for the same purpose, but that fund was never sent due to the U.S. pressure campaign against the North's nuclear program. Seoul says it'll deliver the fund to the UN agencies as soon as possible, which could be as early as next week. It'll be South Korea's first humanitarian aid to the North through international agencies since President Moon Jae-in took office in 2017. The decision came as the WFP and the Food and Agriculture Organization announced in early May that over 10 million people in North Korea, or about 40% of the population, are suffering from a food shortage, and almost 1.4 million tons of food aid is necessary. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
And staying with the issue, the South Korean government says it'll continue efforts to make sure the public is on board with the provision of aid to North Korean women and children. After a meeting chaired by the head of the National Security Council, Chung Eui-yong, the NSC agreed to enhance efforts to communicate with the public about the $8 million donation. The committee also agreed on the need to promote efforts on diplomatic and defense fronts to achieve ultimate peace on the Korean peninsula. Working-level officials from Seoul and Washington convened again this morning to continue their discussion from the day before. Seoul's Foreign Affairs Ministry did not elaborate on the agenda, but the two sides are thought to have discussed South Korea's plans to provide food aid to the North worth some $8 million. They're also likely to have talked about measures to prevent the spread of swine fever, which was recently confirmed in the North. In order to prevent the fever from spreading to the South, Seoul had asked North Korea to cooperate on fighting the outbreak, but the North is yet to respond. The Agriculture Ministry says it has prepared diagnostic equipment and disinfectant in case the North asks for help. Marking 1 year since the first North Korea-U.S. summit in Singapore, the North has strongly called on the U.S. to change its calculations and approach. Through a statement issued last night, North Korea's foreign ministry spokesperson said the regime has done all it can to establish lasting peace and achieve denuclearization on the Korean peninsula, but the U.S. has deliberately ignored its efforts and unilaterally demanded North Korea to give up its nuclear weapons. The statement said the June 12th joint statement inked in Singapore won't yield results if the U.S. sticks to what it called hostile policies. It urged Washington to make a, quote, correct strategic choice, saying there's a limit to the North's patience. For the past few weeks, the regime has been sending a similar message through interview format reports on its state media. New measures were announced today to revise South Korea's liquor tax system in an effort to boost private investment in the industry. For consumers, the new tax system will mean lower prices of canned beer and craft beer, but higher prices for some others. Our Ko Ryun-hee tells us more.
Since 1968, taxes on alcoholic beverages in Korea were based on their prices. This meant that companies making expensive beverages paid more tax, which caused firms to cut costs in many fields, such as R&D. But Korea's finance ministry has unveiled new plans to reform the alcohol tax system. The new measures say taxes on beer and makgeolli will be based on volume or alcoholic content instead of price. The change will be limited to these two alcoholic beverages for now, considering the rapid impact it could have on the liquor industry. Finance Chief Hong Nam-gi explained how this change will contribute to improving the nation's economy.
These changes in the tax system will revitalize the craft beer industry, which has relatively big potential to create jobs. Also, if beer production increases in Korea, employment will boost in upstream and downstream industries. Facilities investment will increase as well.
The announcement comes after many beer companies criticized the current system for the unfair differences in taxes between domestic and foreign brands. The government plans to include the changes in this year's tax reform proposal and submit it to the National Assembly in early September. If approved, the change is likely to take effect starting next year. With the change, tax on beer will come to around 70 cents per liter, meaning consumers will be able to enjoy cheaper canned and craft beer from supermarkets or convenience stores. An expert in the field pointed out that the reform should be applied to other beverages as well.
Generally, liquor tax is considered adequate for improving the correcting effect of external diseconomy. External diseconomy refers to social costs incurred by drinking alcohol, such as damaging one's health or drunk driving. Therefore, the system of imposing taxes based on volume or alcoholic content should be applied to other types of beverages as well, like in many other OECD countries.
In another bid to revitalize the economy, the government also announced Wednesday that it will extend a temporary tax cut on purchases of passenger cars until the end of the year. This move is expected to revitalize the nation's auto industry. 고르니, Arirang News.
Turning to some economy-related news now, and South Korea recorded its first current account deficit in 7 years in April on the back of higher dividend payouts and sluggish exports. Our business correspondent Kim Hye-sun with the details.
South Korea's current account recorded a deficit of $0.66 billion in April. That's the first shortfall since April 2012 when exports to the EU fell sharply. The figure is also down from the $4.8 billion surplus posted in March and $1.4 billion surplus tallied in April 2018.
The current account posted a deficit in April, mainly due to higher dividends payouts, which are seasonal. The services account deficit and primary income deficit were larger than the goods account surplus.
The Bank of Korea said on Wednesday that dividends paid to stockholders overseas rose $4 billion on month to $6.8 billion as most companies pay yearly dividends in April. The dividends income balance posted a deficit of $5 billion, contributing to a primary income deficit. The goods account surplus also shrank $4 billion to $5.7 billion in April. Exports dropped 6% on year on slowing global demand and falling chip prices, but imports increased 2% on year on rising global oil prices. The services account deficit narrowed slightly on better travels account figures thanks to more travelers from China and Japan visiting the country and fewer Koreans traveling abroad.
A current account deficit means Korea paid more money to foreign countries than it has earned via trade in goods, services, and capital. After recording negative growth in the first quarter, it has recorded a current account deficit. This negatively affects Korea's future outlook and sovereign credit ratings, and it could further pull down the value of the Korean won.
The Bank of Korea said the current account deficit in April is seasonal, mainly due to the huge dividends payouts, and that a surplus in May is expected. But as exports continue to slow down, a smaller current account surplus is expected in the next couple of months. Kim Hye-sun, Arirang News.
The World Bank has downgraded its global economic outlook for this year, citing a slowdown in global trade and weak investment. Our Goseong with more.
In its biannual Global Economic Prospects report released on Tuesday, the World Bank forecasts global growth to slow to 2.6% in 2019. That's 0.3 percentage points lower than its earlier projection of 2.9% made in January. Citing sluggish global growth and weak momentum, the bank warned of downside risks both in emerging markets and advanced economies, especially in Europe. The president of the bank said debt management should be a priority, urging countries to initiate structural reforms for robust investment. In the report, the bank left its forecast for U.S. economy unchanged at 2.5% this year and 1.7% in 2020. The forecast for Europe and Central Asia stands at 2.4%. China's economy is expected to grow by 6.2%, down from 6.6% in 2018, with Japan's growth at 0.8% this year. The forecast for the East Asia and Pacific region stands at 5.9%, down from 6.3% a year earlier, and dropping below 6% for the first time since the 1997 Asian financial crisis. 최시영, Arirang News.
China's market regulator has slapped a multi-million-dollar fine on Ford's venture with the state-run Chang'an Automobile Group in the latest action against Washington amid the escalating trade spat. The State Administration for Market Regulation said Wednesday that it will fine Chang'an Ford over $23.5 million for violating anti-monopoly laws. It said the joint venture set a minimum resale price for its cars in the Chinese city of Chongqing since 2013, depriving dealers of pricing autonomy. The fine is equivalent to 4% of the joint venture's annual sales in the city. Beijing didn't say the move is linked to the ongoing US-China trade war, but watchers speculate it is a retaliation. The US recently declared a ban on business with China's Huawei technologies. Last weekend, Chinese authorities targeted US logistics firm FedEx, saying it will conduct a probe into the diverted deliveries of packages. At an event to mark World Environment Day today, President Moon Jae-in vowed to cut the drastically chronic high level of fine dust over the next 3 years. He also said there is no single solution to handling environmental issues, calling on all people to be involved in fixing the problem. Shin Se-min reports.
President Moon Jae-in says people deserve clean air. While attending a ceremony in Changwon, Gyeongsangnam-do province, marking the World Environment Day, the president shared his goal of reducing the chronically high level of fine dust and prided his administration for making efforts to achieve that goal.
정부 정책 패러다임을 바꿔 2022년까지 미세먼지 배출량을 2016년 대비 30% 이상 줄여낼 것입니다.
He pointed to coal-fired electrical power plants as one of the main causes of fine dust and cited that his administration has closed 4 of the 10 aged power plants in the nation so far. Moon also referred to another major source of fine dust particles, old diesel cars, and said he plans to have more green cars fill the roads.
충전 인프라 등을 확충하여 2022년까지 전기차 43만 대, 수소차 6만 7천 대가 운행되도록 할 계획입니다.
The president then introduced commercial buses running on hydrogen gas, the first such kind in the nation. Starting with 35 hydrogen buses in Changwon, the government plans to expand the program to 6 other cities, including Seoul, Busan, Ulsan, and Gwangju this year. And by 2030, the government aims to have 1.8 million hydrogen cars on the road with 660 charging stations installed. The government is devising plans to better the air quality through a presidential committee headed by former UN chief Ban Ki-moon and in cooperation with neighboring countries. But the president said Parliament needs to cooperate on the supplementary budget bill that includes a chunk of budget worth $1.2 billion solely designated for cleaning the air. He added there is not a single solution to resolving environment-related issues like fine dust and called on the rival political parties to help fix the problem. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
South Korea is planning to build a hiking trail from one end of the demilitarized zone to the other by 2022 as part of efforts to create several tourist spots along the inter-Korean border. The Ministry of Interior and Safety says the government is setting aside more than $24 million to connect the existing peace trails in Goseong on the east coast, Cheolwon closer to the middle, and Paju in the west. From end to end, it'll be 501 kilometers long. Along the trail will be lodging, restaurants and shops selling local specialties for tourists. The first guard post South Korea set up along the DMZ after the 1953 armistice has been officially recognized as part of South Korea's cultural heritage. The Cultural Heritage Administration said Wednesday that the guard post, comprised of several buildings made of steel-reinforced concrete, and is located on the inter-Korean border town of Goseong near the East Sea and has been designated as Registered Cultural Heritage 752. It's around 580 meters away from where the nearest North Korean guard post was before it was demolished. The Goseong guard post was initially going to be demolished as well after last year's inter-Korean comprehensive military agreement, but it was kept for historical reasons. It's said to have a panoramic view that includes North Korea's Kumgangsan mountain. The South Korean government has vowed to do everything it can to prevent an outbreak of the highly contagious African swine fever, especially after the disease was reported in North Korea. It has increased the number of regions subject to what it calls special surveillance from 10 to 14, mostly near the border. That means disinfection facilities will be set up while pig farms there will also be inspected. From next month, the government will also ban local farms from feeding their pigs food waste, a potential carrier of the disease. It also plans to step up the capturing of wild pigs, which can travel as far as 15 kilometers a day and could carry the virus across the border. There's currently no vaccine for African swine fever, but the disease does not affect humans. Prime Minister Lee Nak-yeon visited a local disinfection site earlier today to oversee quarantine and disinfection efforts. He called on officials to conduct thorough inspections and take extra care to prevent an outbreak.
South Korean baseballers Ryu Hyun-jin and Choo Shin-soo are making Major League Baseball history with new records and league-topping statistics. Our Lee Min-sun has more.
Having earned the National League Pitcher of the Month award in May, LA Dodgers pitcher Ryu Hyun-jin still had more to show. Ryu threw another 7 scoreless innings in the team's 9-0 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks on Tuesday. It's Ryu's 9th victory of the season and the 5th time that he has thrown at least 7 innings while not allowing a single point. Ryu's strong performance once again lowered his earned run average to 1.35. Now he holds the best ERA and walk rate in the National League. Another Korean major leaguer Choo Shin-soo has achieved what no other Asian player in MLB has ever done: hit 200 career home runs. In his first plate appearance against the Baltimore Orioles at the bottom of the first inning on Tuesday at Globe Life Park in Arlington, the Texas Rangers outfielder swung his bat for a solo home run, hitting a line drive to the center field. It was Choo's 11th home run of the season and 200th of his 15-year MLB career. Choo has been getting All-Star considerations this year as he's in the top 10 American League outfielders in terms of his batting average, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage. Last year, he became the 3rd South Korean to earn an All-Star selection in the MLB. Lee Min-sun, Arirang News.
South Korea's oldest swimming competition kicked off today in Gwangju, the city that will host the 2019 World Aquatics Championship. And our Won Jung-hwan is there to check out some of the nation's hopefuls who are looking to shine at the upcoming World Championship.
Since its establishment in 1929, the Dongha swimming competition has been producing top Korean swimmers like Jo Ryun, Choi Yoon-hee, and Park Tae-hwan. And for the 4th year in a row, the competition is being held at the country's swimming mecca, Gwangju. Here at Nambu University International Swimming Pool, one of world-class venues, which will be used for the 2019 Gwangju World Aquatics Championships, 1,400 athletes will compete in racing, diving, water polo, and artistic swimming events. The World Aquatics Championship is just less than 40 days away, and the organizers are using the competition as their final dress rehearsal. And the South Korean swimmers are doing the same, fine-tuning their form just ahead of the global event.
The venues were under construction up until just a few days ago, and I participated in today's competition because I wanted to see how the pool has changed, and I wanted to test the water as much as possible before the Gwangju Championship.
Kim So-young is one of Korea's best hopes for a medal. At last year's Asian Games, she won gold in the women's 200-meter individual medley, setting a new Korean and Asian Games record time. She also won silver in the 400-meter individual medley. The 25-year-old said her goal in Gwangju is to break her own national record and even go for the world record.
I was preparing for this upcoming championship since the Asian Games last year. Whether you see the time remaining is short or long, I will get my fitness up step by step to get a good result in the end.
And Kim isn't the only swimmer who is dreaming of getting their name in the Hall of Fame. Im Da-sol swam a personal best in the women's 100 meters back in April's national team draft competition. Her time of 1 minute 0 seconds 44 was also a Korean record, and she says if she's at peak fitness, she will be aiming for a podium finish at the World Championship.
As the championship is held right here in Gwangju, my goal is to quickly get used to the water. I still feel I lack many things, but if I can strengthen my weaknesses through these practices, I think I can reach the medal range at the championship.
With the World Championship just around the corner, fans here at the Dongha swimming competition may just be getting a first look at some future world champions. 원정환, 아리랑 뉴스, 광주.
A number of North Korean ships suspected of illegally shipping coal from the regime are reportedly still actively sailing. Voice of America reported Wednesday that 10 vessels, which were put on the U.S. Treasury Department watch list in March, were seen moving. Their destinations appeared to be China and Russia. A few ships were acting suspiciously as they turned off their automated tracking system or didn't state their destination. These vessels are not themselves under sanctions, but with the Treasury watching them closely, they could be seized and investigated. South Korea's foreign exchange reserves declined last month to $402 billion, down more than $2 billion from April. The Bank of Korea attributed the fall to the stronger greenback, which pulled down the value of other foreign currency assets. As of the end of April, South Korea had the world's 9th largest foreign exchange reserves, with China topping the list. A South Korean has been elected to a key post at the World Trade Organization. Chang Sung-hwa, who is Seoul's representative at the WTO, will be chairing the Committee on Technical Barriers to Trade until next year. That committee seeks to provide member states with information on other countries' regulations on standards and certification. Seoul's Foreign Ministry hopes Chang's appointment will lead to greater implementation of technology regulation agreements amid increased protectionism. This year's Seoul Bike Festival will kick off on Sunday, with thousands of cyclists expected to take part. Some roads that are normally off-limits for bicycles will be open, including parts of the Gangbyeon Expressway along the Han River. The 21-kilometer course will start from Gwanghwamun Square at 8 a.m. and finish at World Cup Park. That has been your 3-minute news flash. It is that time to take a look at the digital media content available on Arirang's social media platforms.
And Unni News is back, taking a look at the top trending stories.
Hi everyone, my name is Tami, a news reporter at Arirang TV, and here's your Unni News for today. More Korean men are entering women-dominated nursing profession. Nursing was seen as a women's job here in Korea, with only 4 male students in nursing in 1990 and still less than 100 up until 2000. But that number reached almost 10,000 last year, 21% of the total number. That's 96 more times than the 2000s, all because of Korea's unemployment crisis. Nursing, a specialized profession, guarantees a stable job, and the stereotypical image of nursing that it's a woman's job has faded away. Male nurses are particularly active in emergency rooms and intensive care units, where they especially need their physical strength. It looks like unemployment crisis is expanding work fields for all, breaking stereotypes and creating delicate, warm-hearted male nurses. I've seen numerous commercials on YouTube, including plastic surgery advertisements as well. These ads are normally posted by plastic surgery clinics with no censorship or proper evaluation. According to South Korea's health ministry, plastic surgery review videos on YouTube that state no side effects are considered illegal. And it's not just illegal ads, there are also inappropriate content confusing viewers, including ASMRs, that tingling sensation featured on food videos and even unboxing videos. Recently, a 21-year-old YouTuber who posted an ASMR video that reminded of sexual activities was put on probation. As much as we all love YouTube, shouldn't we also be protected from these inappropriate contents as loyal viewers? I hate to say I'm addicted to using my smartphone, but maybe this will save me from the addiction. This so-called locker box is where you put away things that you think distract you. So you can set the lock time from 1 minute to up to 10 days. Sellers say it was invented to help people to achieve mini life and health goals, but now people are buying for their own various purposes, from video games to even chocolate. Reviews from students show that the box is perfect to put away your phone for study. It's called Locker Box, except it's clear, so we all know what you're trying to stay away from. That's it from This Sunny today. If you liked the video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. See you next time.
The sizzling heat wave is expected to ease tomorrow with rain forecast.
Yes, but the rainstorm is expected to be quite strong. Let's get more details from our Michelle Park at the Weather Center. Michelle.
Good evening. Now here's some good news. The heat will be relieved as it rains tomorrow starting from Jeju Island. Now the storm will be strong winds with it. And while some areas will get up to 20 millimeters of rainfall per hour, this typhoon level storm will drench with heavy rain in Jeju and the southern coast with up to 80 millimeters of rain tomorrow, along with some chances of thunder and lightning as well. Now Seoul will wake up to partly cloudy skies with temperatures kicking off to 19 degrees Celsius and very similar elsewhere. The mercury will stay low, Seoul topping out to 29 degrees, and Daegu and Gyeongju will hit the highest, marking up to 30 degrees. And as of now, we are expecting rain until Friday morning, and during the weekend, as the sunny spells return, the temperature will gradually increase to the hotter side. Checking out the weather forecast in Budapest, where the searches are still underway from the boat disaster. Now, there's also rain over there on Thursday with clear skies as we approach the weekend. I'll leave you with the weather conditions around the world.
That will wrap it up for this edition of Arirang News. Thank you as always for watching.
A reminder for those of you here in Korea, a siren will go off for 1 minute at 10 a.m. South Korea time tomorrow for a moment of silence for the fallen heroes, marking the nation's Memorial Day. So don't be surprised when you hear the siren. Well, that's it from us. News in depth up next.